This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp and First Republic Bank. Thank you for making our show a possibility. Thank you. Welcome to If These Ovaries Could Talk. I'm Jamie.
I'm Robin.
And we're your hosts.
We sure are.
Love is love, and you don't have to make a family by taking a traditional route. If these ovaries could talk, you would say.
How do I get the sperm through custom?
I am a lesbian.
So gay.
So gay. We need to tell our stories.
It's not your nuclear family anymore. It's not just your mom and dad thing.
We're not ruining these little humans.
Not for the gay reason. Just because we stay. Jamie.
Yes, Robin. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. We are moving into holiday season.
I know.
How do we feel about this?
Well, okay, for me, it's actually birthday/holiday season. Everybody's birthday. I'm feeling stressed.
I know. I just started the holiday gifts list again, and my daughter, every 5 seconds is got some Pinterest picture of, I also want this. And then my son tells me he wants nothing. Nothing.
That's fun.
And then he
That's
gets mad
easy.
when there's no gifts. And we
Right,
got
of
him
course.
shirts. So I'm like, ugh.
Oh, he's not going to be happy with that. My daughter's birthday wish list is, I think, 5 pages long at this point.
I love that though. That's so easy to pick.
She'll take catalogs that come in the mail,
Oh.
and then she circles them first, and then she writes them all down on her list, verbatim, so we can make sure we get the right one. It's so
Oh my God. Maxine makes a Pinterest type page with links.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's smart. It's a lot. This is a lot. And then she's already planned her birthday party. We haven't planned a birthday party. It's planned. She has a guest list that is over 30 people. I mean,
My
it's
kids'
a lot.
birthdays are also next to each other. Yours are too, right? Ours
Yeah.
are 2 weeks apart.
Yeah.
So for a lot of years, we just
Mhm.
did a party together. And I did an outside park because it's in the spring. And just people come and it was kids running around. There's a table of food.
I gotta say, you folks with the summer birthdays for the kids,
Much easier.
or the spring,
Yeah.
or the fall, you really lucked out. It's not fair.
No, because we don't have to
'Cause-
pay for a place. You can be outside.
We have to find a venue.
Yeah.
I mean, if you live in the city, if you live in the burbs, you have your house and there's enough space, I think.
Well, but
I mean, depending
yeah,
on
it's
how
true,
big
not
your
in the
house
city.
is, I guess.
But you're just making a case for guest list
2 or
limitation.
3.
3.
Well, that's what we did last time. She had a slumber party and she got to invite 3 friends.
Even then, I'd be
and
2.
that was it. Sleepovers are a commitment. I used to sleep at my friends' houses, one friend all weekend. I'd go there Friday and I wouldn't go home till
But this
Sunday
is
night.
high school, right?
Middle school and high
Yeah,
school.
because I feel that's different. I used to go to my best friend's house all the time. In the summer, I just slept on her outdoor porch on a pull-out mattress. My home life was
They
less
didn't
than
want you to
stellar.
have a real bed. They
They were like, "Is Robin on the
Just put her
porch
in the
again?"
porch.
Just lived there. They're like, "Why is she here for the whole summer?" I was like, "Because my mom's drunk. That's why. That's why I'm here."
I mean, my mom wasn't drunk, but I still lived at my friends' houses. I lived
Oh,
there.
I look forward to that.
Oh, man. Well, anyway.
We got very off track there. Apologies, people. But I did put the holidays on because there's this new Netflix holiday movie. It's a gay rom-com with Michael Urie and apparently Jennifer Coolidge is in it too. But my whole thing is they're billing it like the first gay holiday rom-com. And I'm like, have they forgotten that bad Kristen Stewart movie that just came out last year?
There have been a couple. I feel like there's been
Right?
more than... There have been a couple, but here's what I
How
will
are they
say.
calling it the first?
I don't
Some
know.
bullshit.
However, this is what I will say is a little bit different, I think, based on what I just read.
Oh, you read something? You prepared?
Take it easy now. I prepare. So these other ones are this is he's going home as a single guy, but he's embarrassed that he's still single, and it has no, there's no embarrassment over the gay thing. It's not ever. It sounds like they're doing it it's just he just happens to be gay, but it's never discussed. And then his mom tries to set him up with a friend of hers from home, and it's a guy.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So it's it sounds like it's known that he's a gay guy, and there's no issue.
Okay,
around
whereas the
that.
Kristen Stewart movie was
So
all about
that's
that
different.
one woman coming out, and that one was hateful.
Right.
I was like, this should have been out in the 80s. This is not
Right,
relevant
exactly.
anymore.
It sounds like they're just treating this this is a rom-com.
Just
and
happens
he
to be a
happens
guy.
to be a gay
Right.
dude.
There's
Which
this
is cool,
book.
which is
There's
great.
this book written under the stars or written on the stars that I think needs to be turned into. It's a lesbian rom-com book, and it's so good.
Ooh.
And I
Ooh.
think it should be turned into a movie. It's amazing.
But let's turn it into a movie.
Well, I don't
Let's
have
do it.
that kind of budget, Jamie. I don't know if you do.
Let's do that. We just have to
If
write
you
it.
remember
if you
that
build it, they will
this
come.
podcast isn't profitable, let's move into Patreon, Jamie. What do you want to say about
Oh
that?
my God. Well, we have a special thank you to our newest Patreon member, Katie Mueller. Thank you, Katie Mueller. Katie, you're a rock star. We love
appreciate you.
Thank you for
We see
joining.
you.
We appreciate you.
And if anyone else other than Katie wants to help us make LGBTQ content for families, you could join our Patreon community and you can do just that, Jamie.
you can, and you're going to do a good thing,
Mhm.
and you're going to get bonus
Mhm,
content. So it's a
mhm.
win-win for everybody.
Everybody.
And at the gestational carrier level, because we named all our levels
sure did.
off of fertility things, you'll get video interviews of most episodes dropped, and this is the good part, a day early. You're
Without
going to
ads.
be in the know. You're never going to have FOMO with us, you Patreon members. Head over to patreon.com/ovaries talk to join that
Okay,
community.
enough of our gabbing. Let's get to our
We
guests.
have to go. Helen would just cut the whole intro out.
Helen will be like, you don't need this. No one likes you too. Get to the interview. That's Helen. All right. Our guests today are Kim and Paige. And I love them so much. These delightful listeners, they reached out and they wanted to share their story. I mean, they overcame odds. They listened to their gut and they had a baby weeks early after many days on bed rest.
Many.
After
So
19
many.
weeks, she was
Oh my
on,
God.
it was over 100 days of bed rest.
This story, strap in, because it's a roller coaster.
The way you said that sounded dirty, but go ahead.
I know. There's nothing wrong with strap-ons.
Whoa.
Nothing wrong with strap-ons. I enjoy a nice strap-on from time to time, but not when I'm talking to you.
Oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable. Stop it. Roll the tape, Helen.
I'm just kidding.
Helen, save
I
me.
had to say it. I had
She's
to say
dirty.
it.
Yes, I
You're
know she's
like
dirty,
red.
Helen.
You're bright red.
She's dirty, Helen. Roll the tape. Hi, Kim and Paige.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you guys?
We are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure?
Yes, yes.
As great as you can be with a 4-month-old.
It was
Oh my God.
not a great weekend, so there's that.
Oh, no.
Oh, 4-month-old.
He was like sleeping like an hour and a half at a time the other
Yeah.
night. So we were like
Oh,
I remember
so
that.
tired.
Oh,
you
I
guys are
remember this.
exhausted. 4 months. You're exhausted. Let's start where we always start with a 30-second elevator
Here we
pitch.
I've
And
prepared.
don't be panicked when I put this up on the screen. On
You
your
do
mark,
you.
get
You got
set, go.
Hi, I'm Kim. I'm an ER nurse, and this is my wife, Paige. She's an accountant. We're two lesbians, but our last name is Bi.
They got jokes.
This is good.
We met in March of 2018 and married in August of 2019 and started fertility appointments April of 2020 because I broke my arm and had time off. We have 3 dogs and a 4-month-old that's really 2.5 months.
Whoa.
Oh.
Boom.
Look, first of all, you're a pro.
actually got a lot in
You
there.
Nailed that.
I did.
You
I was
nailed
like,
that time
Mic
frame.
drop, mic drop, mic drop. Slide in a joke.
She had jokes in
Because
there.
we use it a lot.
And that's funny. That's good. So your last name is Bi, literally
Yeah,
Bi.
that's how it's pronounced. Yeah.
And interesting, you have a 4-month-old who's 2 months. So we got to really
gonna get
we
to
have to
that.
Yeah.
let's get into this.
I think that
Let's-
tells
let's
us a
talk.
little bit.
Yeah, I
right
think
It
it
there.
does.
Yeah.
And we should say to everyone that you guys are listeners and emailed us, and the title of your email, the subject line was $500,000 baby, and we were like, we got to read this one.
Yeah.
You said like basically you got married and started trying right away. You weren't going
Basically.
to if you hadn't broken your arm. Can you walk us through that?
I broke my arm at the end of like March 2020. So right when the pandemic hit. And I was like, I have time off because I can't really just take off of work, especially, fertility stuff is all based on you.
Yeah.
It's not your schedule.
Right,
So
right.
that's pretty much why we kind of started then.
Yeah. And we had talked about wanting kids since we first started dating.
Yeah.
And Kim's like, hey, I got this time off. We should really try doing this. And I was like, okay. And then it just,
Because I was off
she's
for
like,
2
we're doing
months.
it. And went straight forward. And I'm like, okay, we're going now.
You
All
went
right.
right in. You went right in. And
Yeah.
had you guys had conversations about who was going to carry? I mean, how did that whole thing pan
It was
out?
pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I
I
think.
was like, if we're doing this, I don't know.
You had no desire, Paige.
No,
None
none at
whatsoever.
all.
But you still wanted to be a mom. Or
Yes, I always knew if I was going to be a mom, I wanted to be with the right person, and I had no desire to ever be pregnant.
Mhm,
And she's
mhm.
like all for it. So I was like,
That's a bit of
if
a
you want to go
stretch.
through with it, we'll do it.
It's a bit of a stretch. Okay, Jamie, before we go any further, I have to say that If These Ovaries Could Talk is supported by First Republic Bank, with a best-in-class banking app that allows you to bank anywhere, anytime, and a dedicated personal banker when you need one-on-one service. First Republic is uniquely positioned to offer the best of both worlds.
With this combination of personal attention and convenience, it's no wonder that First Republic Bank has a client satisfaction rating 2 times the industry average. So whether you're opening a personal line of credit or planning for your retirement, you can count on First Republic to be there for you every step of the way. Visit firstrepublic.com today to learn more. That's firstrepublic.com, member FDIC, equal housing lender. I've always wanted to say that.
You got to say it. That's awesome. Okay, so you're the spreadsheeter in the relationship, Kim, and you were just like, we're moving this thing forward?
At least about the baby, yeah. Everything
Not
else
everything
is all
else?
her. Yeah.
Aw.
Well, you were 2 ladies on a mission. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where did you start?
So our local fertility center is 2 hours away in Tulsa.
Mm.
We
Oh
live
my
in
God.
Arkansas. We
Yeah.
hate it here.
So there's nothing in Arkansas? Is there nothing in Arkansas?
There's one in Arkansas, but it's 3 hours from where we are.
Jesus.
And so Tulsa was our best option.
Yeah.
And is this because you wanted to go right to IVF, or because you couldn't have gone to like your OB or anything like that? Or
We
like, what
we
was your
actually
plan?
did try that. We made an appointment with an OB and asked her like what our steps would be, and she just referred us to the fertility clinic.
Mhm.
I
so
think
she
that's
was just like, we're not doing it.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think that's something that they do here. And we did IUI. We didn't even do IVF.
So you find this clinic that's 2 hours away. You get started with that. You're there like almost every day
Yes.
for a while, making this
And
drive.
It was really complicated. Like, not so much when I was over my arm problem, because obviously I was off work then, but then I went back to work and I would do this like round trip and then go straight back to work.
Mm.
Oh, jeez.
Because our appointments would be like 8:00 in the morning. So we'd leave here at 6, be at the appointment for like 15 minutes, then
Yeah,
turn
they're
around
really
in the
short.
car, then come right back in, and then we'd both go to work.
My
Yeah.
God.
Wow.
So were these medicated IUIs?
Yes, every one of them. Yeah.
And that's why there was probably a lot of monitoring too, because you have to
Yeah.
make sure you're not rupturing those ovaries. I remember
Yes.
that. I remember that game well.
The first one was just Clomid, and then after that we did shots. So
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And did you just do a sperm bank?
yes, we picked in like 2 days. It was really
Yeah.
fast.
Really? Well, how
Yeah.
come it was so easy?
I don't know. I think we went mostly for genetic.
Yeah, we wanted
Mhm.
somebody that looked like me, like pasty. Um, and then just like good genetics, and then just went through everything because we knew if we took too long, we could look at these things for months
Forever.
on end.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, I'd come home from work and Kim would be like, hook up the laptop, we're looking tonight. And I'm like, can I at least cook dinner so we have something to like do while we're looking?
Order pizza. We're good. Well, so it seems like all your stuff happened in the back end. I mean, did you get pregnant pretty easily?
It took 3 tries. It felt like an eternity, but I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah,
in reality, that's only 3 months of trying.
Yeah, because we would
Yeah.
try a month, then take a month off to like mentally go through it.
Mhm.
And we
then-
had a vacation because our honeymoon got canceled.
Yeah. 'cause
Oh,
COVID.
COVID.
Oh,
Stupid
right.
COVID.
We were supposed to come to New York.
oh.
And then like the
Aw.
day we left, they closed down everything. Or we were supposed to leave, they were closing down everything, so we couldn't go.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
So it was 3 tries, but it was over at like 6 or 7 months.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I would say 6.
That's a long time. That's a
Yeah.
long time
Did
to
your
wait.
doctors tell you to take a month off, or was that like an emotional, you wanted a month break?
The first one was just because we happened to have a vacation in the middle, so they
Mhm.
couldn't monitor us and we didn't want to cancel again. And the second time was emotional. I couldn't try again
Yeah. And
that
then
month.
the third time we were like moving houses. So
Yeah.
I was like, we can't. No.
Yeah.
It's like, I need an emotional break.
Right, right.
Especially with all the hormones. Like, ugh, it was awful.
It was a lot.
The hormones were hard for you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's different. They were really hard on me. My wife didn't phase her at all. Didn't even feel them. You know. So some people they really, really affect.
Just definitely had me all over the place. Like normally,
Yeah.
before baby, I feel like I was not emotionally liable, I guess. But ever since, definitely.
Mhm.
Now you're a hot mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much parenting, I think.
And plus, I feel like pregnancy, I know we're getting there, but like the PTSD from that has definitely got me like all over the place.
Well, let's
right.
go there.
So let's get there.
Yeah,
so
let's go there. You got pregnant.
third try
Mhm.
happens. What happens?
So we got inseminated on November 13th,
It was a
Friday,
Friday the
13th.
13th.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
jeez.
a good
Oh,
day,
jeez.
huh?
And it took We were super excited. And also we didn't tell our family we were doing any of this.
No, they had no idea.
Oh no, why? Why?
No idea. Because
Just didn't.
for majority of my time growing up, I always said I never want to have kids because I physically did not want to have children. And so we didn't know how long it was going to take. And so we just didn't want to tell anybody because we didn't have to tell them, oh, it didn't work again.
Right. That's
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
I didn't tell people because I wanted to be like all like one day be like, oh, guess what, guys? I'm just magically pregnant. You had no idea how, secretive and great
Super
I am.
fertile I
Super
am.
fertile I am. And that didn't work out at all.
After my second blood test, the hormone test, whatever, they called me and I was at work and I come back into work like crying and they're like, what, are you pregnant? I'm like, yeah.
Oh,
And then
Our problems pretty much started from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like,
week 7 appointment, Kim was like having some spotting and the doctors thought it was another embryo that just didn't take.
so we
Mm.
actually had 2 like sacs in there that they
Mhm.
saw.
Oh.
And he's like, I thought I saw it on a previous one, but I didn't say anything because it wasn't showing any signs of what it was going to take.
Yeah.
But it's still there. So I think it's just going to dissolve and go away.
Mhm.
Which is like a weird thing to process, but
Yeah.
A
still.
little.
And that would have something to do with the bleeding? Like that doesn't
Well-
seem to make sense to me,
Well,
honestly.
if the
That's-
sac is going away, it could be.
but it
That's what
hadn't
they
gone away
said.
yet.
I don't think that anyone actually knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even know like when it went away because by the time he was larger, you couldn't see, I wouldn't think all of it.
Mhm.
Right.
Like it was squished, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
Yeah.
So who knows what really happened to that.
Mhm.
But he also noticed some bleeding under the placenta,
Mm.
which I guess is really common in pregnancy. But fast forward, I bled pretty much the whole time.
Oh God,
we-
that's scary.
Yes.
Mhm.
And we went to like, we had our first appointment with the OB and she's like, well, some people just bleed all the time. Like, okay, lady.
And that's, by the way, it doesn't make you feel good at all.
No.
You're like, because you're just like, okay.
And also, every story you hear when a person says, "Well, there was blood," a lot of times turns out bad. So, like the fact that they're telling you
well,
this is normal, I don't know. I still think I would not be at ease.
Mhm.
so it was almost like a threatened miscarriage through the whole thing. Like you did no idea what was happening. And then fast forward week 15 is when it I guess the nightmare started.
Yeah.
I had
Uh-huh.
2 gushes of fluid that day, like at 4 a.m. and 8 a.m.
Oh my God.
And I thought I peed on myself, but I wasn't far enough along. Like I'm only 15 weeks. Like how
Yeah.
on earth? And even as an ER nurse, like I see people that come in for bleeding, but never gushes of fluid. Like it's just not something that really happens.
Right.
So we go to the ER.
Oh my God. Yeah. Also, you're an ER nurse. You've seen
Yeah.
so much. So you know what to be alarmed of, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt.
No, that's okay. We went to the ER. They did an ultrasound that day. The fluid level was fine then. Baby was fine. Heartbeat was fine. He sent us home. We were told to follow up with the OB. Of course, whenever we had our follow-up appointment, it snowed. Like it never snows in Arkansas. And I mean, it does, but not like it did that year. It snowed enough to they closed all of the clinics.
Oh wow.
So we had a a phone call
Mhm.
appointment,
Mhm.
which what can she do? Again, she was like,
Yeah.
Everything looks normal. Like just
yeah,
keep
like I
watching
saw the
it.
ultrasound, everything looks fine. Like I had gushes, not like just bleeding, like full on gushes. And I had no idea. I didn't know that your water could break that early. As we found out, that's what happened.
Well, how
Oh
many
my
weeks were
God.
you at this point?
15?
15. And then 2 weeks later, we went to an outside ultrasound to get our gender reveal thing.
to do a
And
gender
she
reveal.
was like, I can't see because you have a low fluid level.
Very
It
low.
was-
Very low.
Yeah. It was 5 centimeters. So they measure it in centimeters. That's all they can see on the screen. But it should be above 9
Oh.
and really double digits. I think 10 is what they really
Mhm.
like.
Uh-huh.
So it was half that.
Hmm.
Uh-oh.
Then our next appointment was at week 18. And I
And
had another gush.
it was
that
so low
morning.
that she was concerned enough that she's like,
Yeah,
give me your
she
doctor's
called.
number. I would like to call your doctor. Because
Yeah.
she was like a tech that works at a hospital. And so she was concerned about it enough that she contacted our doctor.
Which I don't think anything actually became of that. Really,
Right, yeah.
honestly.
Oh, jeez. Jeez. You just want them to do their job. You want everybody to do their jobs, right?
Yeah, right.
Ay,
right.
ay, ay.
And then so week 18, I had another gush of fluid that morning, but we had an appointment with our actual OB that day.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't like go to the hospital or anything. We just went to our appointment and she sent us down for an immediate ultrasound because we had pictures from when we saw the other ultrasound tech the week before. And so she was concerned because the fluid level was low. They were having such a hard time. Every time we go to one of these ultrasounds, there's always a student.
Yeah, and not like an actual tech doing it.
Yes.
So the tech's like, I can't see anything. I'm going to go get my boss. We're
Right.
like, cool, awesome.
Every time.
Glad you're getting a learning experience.
And then so that lady came in and was like, when do you talk to your OB again? I'm like, she said she would call us when she got the results.
And she said, I would not leave. I'd go straight back up there and we'll give her the results quickly. And we're like, oh, that's comforting.
Right.
You know, they normally don't tell you anything at all. And instead she said, don't leave, just go straight up there.
Okay, well, at least somebody's doing something, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of. We go back upstairs and wait. And it seemed like it was forever. And I think it was probably like 45 minutes or something. And she calls us back and was like, your fluid levels aren't even 1. So there was like nothing.
Oh my goodness.
And so she referred us the next day to...
The next day? What do you mean the next day?
I know.
It was after 5.
It was after 5. The clinic was closing. The next day, we had an 8 a.m. something appointment with a high-risk doctor for our anatomy scan. So we go to that. And of course, it's COVID times. And Paige can't even come upstairs at all.
Oh,
So I'm just sitting there and they, you know, they're pressing so hard. They can't see anything. I've seen ultrasounds. I ultrasound myself all the time when I was at work. Don't tell my bosses.
She didn't just say that.
I'm sure they know. They have to know.
Just practice.
So, but I couldn't even see anything. Like I've seen him. I've seen ultrasounds. I've seen him jumping around in there. Like I couldn't make out anything except like his little spine. That's all you could see. Because the fluid is what gives you the contrast.
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys have seen a ultrasound. So like that's how you see the dimensions. So they did the ultrasound and they put me in another room and it felt like I was there forever. I FaceTimed with her because she was still in the car. And they came back in and they were like, your wife can come upstairs.
So yeah, they let me come upstairs and I like basically jumped out of the car, ran upstairs. And the doctor wasn't even in the office. He was at the hospital that was across the highway.
Like a delivery or something.
Yeah, he was having to do a C-section. And so we were like waiting for him.
I mean, what's going through your heads? Right? I mean, they're saying, Paige, you can come in. At that moment, I would probably, as if I wasn't already freaking out, I would be.
Yeah, it's like
really
something
scared.
is wrong. And of course, I was like reading study after study, like trying to figure out what low fluid even means. And I remember them sitting us back in the same room that I had my ultrasound in and them telling us, you might want to do this.
And so the doctor comes in and he's like, there's pretty much no fluid at all. And he's like, you have 2 options and it's like carrying it to term and we have no idea what's going to happen or terminate. And he's like, I highly recommend terminating because more than likely Kim's going to get septic and die. And we have no idea what's going to happen to the fetus and there's much higher risk on your wife. And we're just like numb because he gives us like no good news, like no chances of anything happening besides there's no fluid. Your baby's basically got no chance at all. And if you do anything but terminate, your wife's going to die.
Yeah, basically.
Oh my God. Okay, folks, we're very proud to say that this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Yes.
Is there something, yes, right? Is there something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? I don't know about you, but with the coming of the holidays and the full schedules of every person in my family, I'm feeling a bit stressed, Robin. I'm just going to say it.
Just a bit, Jamie? Just a bit?
A lot. Like a lot stressed.
Good. You're in luck. Not good that you're stressed, but good you're in luck. And so is everyone listening right now. BetterHelp will assess your needs, Jamie, and they are going to match you with your own licensed professional therapist in under 48 hours.
It's no secret. I use BetterHelp. I love my lady. And everybody should know BetterHelp is not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is professional therapy done securely online.
Here's what's great. There is a broad range of expertise, and that might not be available to you locally in a lot of different areas. And also, they work with clients worldwide.
And you can log into your account anytime and you can send a message to your therapist. And then you get timely and thoughtful responses. I do, at least.
Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. I mean, that is one of my favorite things about BetterHelp.
I know. I love, Robin, that they make it easy and free to change therapists if needed.
Yes.
You don't always find the right fit immediately. So BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches.
And it's more affordable, we have to say this, than traditional offline therapy. And financial aid is available.
Okay, guys. So BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit betterhelp.com/OCT. That's better, HELP, and join the over 2 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional.
In fact, Jamie, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. We have a special offer for If These Overs Could Talk listeners. You're going to get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/OCT.
So what do you do?
They just sent us home.
Yeah, they sent us home.
Like, take some time to think about it.
Yeah, because he wasn't our actual doctor, so they wouldn't do it. We had to.
He works at a Catholic hospital and is a Mormon doctor, and he's telling us to abort our baby that we obviously very clearly wanted.
And so we're at 19 weeks at this point. We were waiting for our doctor,
Which is a late term abortion, by the way.
Yes.
We're waiting to hear from our doctor, and nobody's like giving us any information besides this is what you have to do. Oh, by the way, if you choose to do this, we have to convene an ethics council and give you permission to do it.
If you choose to do the abortion.
Yes.
Because of how late term it is.
Basically, so the amniotic fluid is what develops the lungs. So they were really worried that he would be born without lungs or severely underdeveloped lungs that weren't compatible with life.
But they had no idea, and they couldn't tell us anything besides
the story of our pregnancy is they couldn't tell us how the lungs were going to look. At all. There's zero way to see how good or bad the lungs are at all.
So they really didn't know what was going to happen with the lack of amniotic fluid. I guess this is kind of unprecedented, or it must have happened in the past.
2% of pregnancies. It's very, very, very uncommon.
So they just were in the dark. But then they're also telling you you're going to die.
Yeah.
And what's backing that up?
When your membranes
Like an infection?
rupture, you can get an uterine infection and die. Become septic and die.
So, and also you would have to go in front of this board and ask for them to allow you to terminate the pregnancy.
We didn't physically go in front of the board, but they convened amongst themselves. We weren't even included.
And so, but that happening gave you time to...
It did.
To see another doctor?
To get a second opinion.
Yeah, to call the University Hospital of the state.
So I worked at UAMS, which is a hospital that's 3 hours away from home at the capital. So Little Rock. And they are the level 1 hospital in the state or whatever. And they also have a high level NICU, one of the highest levels that you can get. So I remember going from planning a funeral or whatever happens.
Friday, because we get sent home and we're just crying. We're trying to get in contact with our doctor who's not in the office. And the only thing we're getting is text messages from either a nurse or a receptionist asking us, are we wanting to go through with the termination or anything?
Via text.
Yes, via text.
Oh my God.
That we have to wait until we hear back from an ethics council. They make us talk to another doctor. They're neonatologist who's not giving us any good information. He's like, you can deliver now, and we might be able to help your baby, or
we don't know.
Basically. We don't know, but he's not giving us any information. And then Kim remembers that UAMS has an angel line, which you can call, and they will try and get you appointments or information to get you the right doctors to help you. And so she calls them, and we explain to this super amazing nurse that's on the line what's happening, what we need. And this lady's like, okay, I can try and get you an appointment, but it's at like the end of the month. We're like, we can't make it that long. And she's like, okay. And does more. She's like, I can get you in like 3 days on like Tuesday or Wednesday of that week. And we're like,
Wednesday.
fine, we can do that.
Okay.
And so we just have to wait until Wednesday of not knowing what's happening with our baby, with her, what we're going to do.
You're just in limbo, like serious.
Yeah.
Oh,
Serious.
horrible, horrible space.
So many thoughts are going through our minds, and we're like not wanting to talk to anybody. Like I had to call my mom, and because our families know at this point in time
Mm-hmm.
that we were pregnant. So I called my mom and I'm like, this is what's happening. Like, we're not talking to anybody right now. I'll let you know when we know more.
Yeah.
A couple of our friends just like checked in on us, but we're like, just leave us alone. I'm missing work because they know what's happening.
Well, you had left work for that high risk appointment and then
Just never came
never
back.
went back, even
Yeah.
though she was supposed to go back.
Well, you can't focus on anything. You can't.
Yeah.
No.
I can only imagine. Your brain must be just going a mile a minute, and
Mhm.
there's no sleep. There's no concentrating.
No, not at all. And we were in limbo for several days until we went to that high risk appointment in Little Rock.
Mhm.
And he basically sat us down and told us, like, look, there is hope. Sometimes it happens where they come out and they have, asthma, or they have severe,
It's like chronic lung disease.
chronic
Mhm.
lung disease.
Mhm.
Like there's no way to know the varying degrees, but you can. There are a few preventative measures that you can do, and they're very slim, and we don't know what's going to happen. Like he didn't give us any kind of false hope at all. He
Yeah.
was,
He was like straightforward. I'm not sugarcoating this. It's going to be extremely hard, but if you're willing to do it, we're willing to do everything that we can
Yeah.
for you.
And
that
that's
means
that's what you wanted to hear.
yes,
Yeah. We wanted
Yeah.
like to know something.
that there was even another
Yeah.
option. The first doctor didn't make it sound like that was possible, period.
Right.
Like he didn't give us those statistics, or you know what I mean?
yeah.
He was just like terminate, basically.
Yes.
Basically.
Terminate, go out the door kind of deal.
Heartless.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this doctor, Dr. Wendell, was like, okay, these are the statistics. If you do this and this, I can help you. But if you're not going to follow my instructions, then you're wasting all our time. And we're like, okay.
Basically.
What were the instructions?
Um,
Because I'm assuming you did it, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Strict bed rest, like laying flat bed rest
Oh my God.
and then daily temperature
At
checks.
week 19.
multiple times.
Yeah.
Yes. We were like 19 weeks at that point.
Mhm.
To make sure you didn't have an infection, the temperature checks.
Yes.
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 Throughout the day. And if it changed any more than like 99, we were in the hospital here. And then if they couldn't get it down, then or they'd get it down, and we'd go to Little Rock, and then they'd take over.
Right.
And then no baths, no swimming, no anything downstairs. Like,
Because you cannot risk infection. You can't risk anything
Yes.
getting anywhere close to your vaginal canal.
yeah, exactly.
I had to say it like that. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then we were making weekly trips to Little Rock
Lovely.
once a week to get double checked to make sure they were both fine.
Were you like a mess in the car? Like, because you're not bed resting at that moment. I would probably be like
Yes.
holding myself as still as possible.
Like reclined
Just
and
like
all the
laid
things.
down, right?
Talk
Yeah.
about nerve wracking, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the whole time, because there's no fluid, you also have this question of if the baby's lungs are developing,
Right.
Yeah.
which
Yes.
you'll never have an answer to until birth.
Yes.
Right.
You got to just sit with
Up
that.
until birth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
we have to deal with that.
Okay.
Were you two like just meditating out the wazoo? Were you just like constantly deep breathing? I mean,
That was the year we got mindful.
Yeah.
I became a
I-
Buddhist.
Yeah.
I don't know how we made it. Like
I think after that appointment, we were I don't want to say we were hopeful. I don't
we
know.
were more realistic. We knew that there was a chance. We were going week by week because he's like, if you guys can make it to the next appointment, your chances are getting better.
Like these
Right.
mini milestones.
Yeah, and
Like
that's how
getting
we
to
looked at
20
it.
weeks was huge. Getting to
Mm.
24 weeks was huge.
How many weeks
Mm.
did he want you to get to?
34?
As many as you could?
Yeah. He was
Right.
like, okay, if you can get to 21 weeks, then we'll talk about going to the hospital and doing internal bed rest. And then he was really happy with like Kim was following the rules, which she doesn't always do. Because ER nurses were terrible patients.
Nurses in general.
We made it to 21 weeks, no infections, doing bed rest, and then like her fluid level started going up
Somehow.
Oh.
somehow.
Oh.
We have no idea how.
No
Oh.
idea.
So I
Did
got,
had they ever said that was a possibility that your fluid could come?
not really.
No.
not really. So we were diagnosed back, when we had that first high risk appointment with PPROM. So that's prolonged premature rupture of membranes. And it's like a 2% chance that it'll ever happen. And most women will deliver days, hours, just a few weeks after. Like it's very rare. Like it's already something rare, but it's very rare that you make it further along into the pregnancy, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that happened to my sister.
Oh.
They took her for a C-section immediately.
Oh.
They were like, now, like that's it.
I think they do that whenever you're further along. I don't
Yes,
know how
she was
long
very
was,
close. She was very close. That's why.
because of the risk of infection, like being so
Yes.
high. But obviously,
Yes.
like if they took or induced, it would have been an abortion at that point.
Mhm.
He never would have made it, obviously.
Mm-mm.
So we're going to these weekly appointments. And then finally we reach 22, 23 weeks.
Mhm.
And I had some more spotting. Like I had a brief month maybe where I didn't bleed.
Mhm.
I had a spotting episode and we went to another hospital here because we're still at home. I didn't even see a doctor. They put him on the monitor.
And we tried to explain what we're going through. Like, hey, we're having this. We're seeing weekly monitorings with a high risk doctor. And they're like, oh, we think it's just spotting. You're fine.
Oh my God.
It's like a
can't.
nurse. And she's like, oh, I've dealt with this before. It's just
No,
spotting.
you haven't. No, you haven't because it's
No.
2% of pregnancies.
Yeah.
No, you haven't.
Especially at a low level, like their NICU was not high.
Right.
I think it was
right.
a level 3, and that's not the highest.
I can't.
Um,
Oh God, it just infuriates me.
So then after that, we basically moved to Little Rock to be close to our hospital
Wow.
for a whole month. And then after that month, we were finally admitted at 28 weeks.
Mhm.
Wow. So you're
Okay.
just you've now been laying prone for 9 weeks.
Basically.
But now you're going to move into a hospital to lay prone.
Yes. It was absolutely miserable.
Mm.
Can't even imagine sitting still for that long. Like, I just can't even.
I spent a total of 100 days on bed rest.
Oh jeez.
Holy shit.
And she's trying to half work from home, half go to the office.
Yeah, when we were still at home, I was like in the office a couple days at home because she's supposed to lay there and do nothing, trying not to keep her from going insane.
Yeah.
And take care of the dog. Like we have the
Yeah.
dogs.
Oh, you have the dogs.
And so after the last time we went to the hospital, we'd already planned on staying in Little Rock. I was like, okay, we got to board the dogs earlier. I call my boss. I'm like, I have to go fully remote now. I was like, we have to be in Little Rock now. She's like, okay. And so I'm trying to work remote in Little Rock. It's a disaster because we're just so stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
We're staying in an Airbnb and then we go in the hospital and then she's in the hospital bed and I'm on the hospital cot for another month.
Oh my God.
37 days, I think we
Mhm.
were admitted before he was born. So when
Okay.
I got admitted, I got antibiotics,
And why did they ultimately admit you? Was it just because you had made it to a certain
Mhm.
week?
made it to a certain point where
Okay.
there was a huge long discussion with our doctor about when to admit us, because if we admit too early and get pulled into a C-section, it could damage the uterus and I could never have kids again.
Mm.
And we wouldn't have a baby. Like,
But if we
Oh.
stay out too late, then we risk something happening,
Losing the
they
baby.
not catching it, and we lose the baby.
Oh
Right.
jeez.
So
Or she gets sick too because you're
Yeah.
not in a
Mhm.
hospital.
because we're not being monitored enough to catch it.
Yeah.
So we were starting to get so stressed out that we're like, we have to do this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
for peace of mind,
Yeah.
almost.
And then we spend a week in the hospital and then we're like, okay, we have to leave.
It was
can't do it anymore.
miserable. Like, you couldn't have any visitors. Like, she's the only person that could come.
Because
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 COVID.
we're in COVID
Yeah.
times,
Uh-huh.
right?
Not that I really wanted anyone else.
Yeah, we didn't
But-
because you're like, you want to see people, but you don't want to see people.
Mhm,
You're
mhm.
just so stressed. COVID restrictions, I can only leave once a day and come back, and I have to be back by 8:00 or I can't stay the night.
Oh my God.
It's like a prison for me too.
Yeah. And you're able to move.
Yeah.
Not that that's any better. It's all terrible. Oh my God.
And I've been doing literally everything for us for the past 8 weeks. So
Mm.
like I'm mentally exhausted, trying not to lose it for the both of us.
Mhm.
And so I'm like sitting in my car crying randomly, so I'm not like taking it out on her.
You didn't even tell me that.
Uh-oh.
Aw.
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot of stress.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many weeks before you delivered?
5.
Yeah.
5 weeks. So you came in at 28 weeks. So 33 weeks is when you delivered.
Mhm.
Yes.
So you
Wow.
made it pretty
made
far.
it.
Yeah.
We
Were they
were
shocked?
1 week from our goal. Yes, they were elated, shocked. They were like, this doesn't happen very often.
And had your fluid kept coming back?
It made it at one point to a 9, which like
What?
what?
It's like,
Whoa.
yeah, almost normal.
Holy
It
shit.
is normal.
Yeah.
No, it is normal.
What are you feeling going into delivery? And did they have to do a
I
C-section?
think more panicked than anything. I don't think there was relief till after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Panic. We're tired of playing Skip-Bo because that's what we've been doing to entertain us.
The whole time. And then no C-section. So you can tell this because I don't remember
So
a lot of it.
they have been on the non-stress test monitor every day for like 3 weeks up until that point.
Oof.
The week that he was born, she was acting just like really odd for her. She was just sleeping a lot. She was kind of grumpy. She didn't want to do anything.
Mm.
And then on the fetal stress test, his heart rate was higher than normal. And so-
Barely, but higher.
yeah, not much higher. Like they didn't really notice it, but I did because I watched it.
Because
every
you're an
day.
accountant. You're like, I do
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, and I sit there and I stare at this thing because it takes up an hour of our day. It's the only excitement we have. And I mentioned it to the nurse, and she's like, "Okay, I'll go look through them all." And she's like, "It is a little different, but it's not one that we're concerned about." And then she just wanted to lay around and do nothing, which she never wanted to do. She always wanted to be entertained.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, something's just not right with the
Mhm.
two of them.
And at some point right before that, I had another huge gush.
Mhm.
And they
Mm.
took me to labor and delivery, and I was having contractions, but they ended up sending me back.
Yeah,
Oh.
because they were just like, it's not, you're
It's
getting
not true
closer,
labor.
but it's not time yet. We'll just keep watching. So we kept watching it, and she started getting, you could just tell she was not feeling good more and more.
Like I was asleep through the last day of monitoring so much so that I don't remember it. Like I was just
Mhm.
asleep the whole time, which is really weird for me because
Right.
that's all I could do was sleep. Why would I want to sleep more?
Yeah.
And so like I just stayed up and watched her. And then every time the nurses or the techs came in, they check her vitals or whatever. And they're like, yeah, she's really not herself. I'm like, no, she's not. And so they took me serious and they started watching her more. They put him back on the monitor. His heart rate was still high. And they're like, yeah, we think maybe she is starting to get an infection. And so they took us down to labor and delivery again. And
They basically had a discussion with us on we're 1 week away from our goal.
if we don't do something now, we could be behind the gun of an infection when he does
Mhm.
come out for
Mhm.
both of them.
For
And that
both
could,
of us.
and that could be very bad. And so we were just like, yeah, let's induce. We're just
Mhm.
1 week.
Mhm.
Let's
Yeah.
go for it.
And I remember having conversations with the neonatologist. They would let him come down and talk to us about all these scary things that could happen after he was born. All the vents, all the machines, all the everything, like
oh.
sitting down and explaining it to
Mhm.
us.
And so we're like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And that was like 10 o'clock at night.
And I
Okay.
had that baby at 3 a.m.
Uh-huh.
And you delivered him?
Yeah.
hmm
Now, I would have
Vaginally,
thought that they, with a risk of infection, they would have wanted to do a C-section.
because I mean, technically, we don't know for sure that I have one.
Right.
So there's lots of mechanics of when they come out, like in the lungs, like it's better for the lungs.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
right,
So they were
right.
like, it'll be better for the baby if he can come out naturally. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got him out uneventfully.
Yes. That labor was over so fast.
Yeah.
And how big was he?
He was 4 pounds, 13 ounces. So he was
Okay.
bigger than they thought.
Yeah.
And he came out crying, which nobody
No,
expected.
and- yeah.
You have to have lungs to cry.
Yes. And they have to work a little bit for them to cry.
Oh my God. It's
It's-
like music to your ears right there.
Yeah.
Mhm. And so we were super tense, like when it happened, like we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It was a super silent room.
Yeah. Full of 15 doctors.
Yeah,
Of
there were so
course.
many doctors.
And then he starts crying, and then we just
Everyone
instantly
does.
start bawling
Oh,
because we're
The
like,
whole
his lungs
room.
work.
What's the moment though, like where they're telling you if he's okay? You know what I mean? Because like I'm imagining all those doctors and you not knowing what anything is and just being like, am I supposed to be happy? Am I not? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
So they initially worked on him in the same room as me, and he was just on like a CPAP at
Mhm.
first.
hmm
So we're pretty relieved. But then they took him to a workroom or something, a different room, and continued like to do his umbilical line and all the different things that they had to do. And he got worse breathing wise and ended up
Mm.
on a ventilator.
They originally told us to take about an hour in there, and then they were gone for
for a while.
for probably closer to 3 hours.
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
And you don't know what's happening.
No,
No.
not until they come in and tell us, well, he was getting really tired. So we did go ahead and put him on the ventilator. And then they bring him in this little incubator.
Oh.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and so we have to wait until he goes off to the NICU.
And then I had to be recovered.
Yeah.
So I got a freaking epidural. And let me tell you, it did not work on these contractions.
Oh no. You poor thing.
Oh.
So she has to wait until like
I
the
can walk
epidural
again.
yeah, is over with and she can walk before she can go seize him. So she goes down there and then I have been up for like almost 48 hours watching
Both
The
of them.
monitor.
Yeah.
both of us.
Everyone.
So
Everyone.
yeah.
They thought he was doing so well, breathing over the vent, doing well enough that they tried to take out the breathing tube, or they did.
Okay.
She was in my room. I was in the NICU. They took out the tube and he lasted an hour.
Oh.
And then they had to put him back on the vent because he turned blue and he wasn't breathing.
Oh,
Oh,
my
Jesus.
God. Oh,
I'm
Jesus
so sorry.
Christmas.
They do all that, they put him back on the vent. He does better, he calms down.
But like I'm sitting there watching him turn blue.
Oh my God.
The ER nurse and me just wanted to jump in and I couldn't.
Oh,
Mhm.
right. Because you
Oh,
know how to
right.
do this stuff.
Yeah. But then I had to go get discharged from my room at like a little bit after this.
We
But
still haven't got to hold
he-
him at this point.
No.
No.
Right.
And he was showing signs of like not being well off. And I go get discharged and we come back and he's on a totally different type of ventilator that sounds like I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, it's like it's just a horrible sound. It's so loud.
And it's huge.
yeah, it's like a
Oh.
full nother machine, and it's just like this
Oof.
big, huge apparatus, and it's like shaking him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And because he was on that ventilator, we couldn't hold him. Like they said, if he was on the traditional vent, we could. And we thought we were going to get to.
Mhm.
But because he ended up on that, we couldn't. And turns out he had pneumonia from the infection that I had.
Oh no. So you did
Oh.
have an infection.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so we caught it soon enough that they were able to jump on it before it became like full-fledged pneumonia, and he was like too sick.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Like, because his vital signs look great. He just needed help breathing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Because he had pneumonia and his lungs were not
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. They were full of gunk. And yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So what happened?
Yeah. How long were you in NICU?
Altogether, 44 days.
Oh my god. I'm like
So-
I'm sorry. I'm stressed out just hearing this story.
I'm holding this little
I-
pig and just squeezing it because I'm so stressed.
I can't. I mean, having to go through this, you're the toughest ladies in the world right now, in my opinion. And I know that doesn't help or make you feel good in any way, but I just like this is.
They're like,
this
we know
is-
we are, Jamie.
I mean, God, this is really, really hard.
Yeah, it was terrible.
He was on that ventilator for about a week, and then we were able to hold him
Finally.
finally.
Like at day 7.
Mhm.
Wow.
Oh.
We stayed in Little Rock for about another 4 days, and then we were able to back transfer to the hospital closest to us.
Not the same one that we were working at
a
before.
better one that they
Yeah.
approved of.
Okay, good, good.
So you were able to all be closer to home.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we were able to not live in a hotel or in a hospital or a hotel. We were able to actually like sleep in our own beds.
Thankfully, I don't know how familiar you guys are with NICU, but they have those angel eye cams where you can see them at, like all the time.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
So we'd come home and put it on like one of our
The
phones.
TV sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Like fall asleep to his little face.
That's.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my
that's
God.
helpful. That's helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was tremendously.
what needed to happen for him during the 44 days? Like his lungs needed to like
He needed
continue to grow, or
Mhm.
he needed his lungs to develop. He needed to be off or low enough on oxygen to be safe to come home. He needed to be able to eat and gain weight and pass his car seat test, basically,
And so that took about 44 days.
like all together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
but he was just getting steadily stronger and better.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And how long has he been home?
2.5
2
months.
months.
Are you guys so timid around him or nervous? Like I feel like I'd be
No.
afraid I was going to break him all the time.
No.
No, he's
no.
like, he feels like such a sturdy guy now. Like he's almost 13 pounds.
Oh, it's a big boy.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He feels like he can handle a lot of different things. He doesn't cry a lot. He smiles and giggles now.
Oh.
He's a really good baby.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right there right now, and we haven't heard a peep. I mean, he's a
he-
good baby.
Yeah, he's fully passed out right
He's
now.
out. He's out.
And like, what did they say? Like, are there any lifelong things he's going to have to live with that you'll have to navigate? Or is it just like at some point he'll just be like every other kid?
We
I mean, are there any-
technically don't know the extent still. Like, obviously, his lungs aren't nearly as bad as they thought that they would be,
Mm-hmm.
but we still don't know, like, will he be able to run without problems, like stuff like that. We don't technically know.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
Holy crap, you two. I mean,
Yeah.
you have been through it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
mean, I think the thing that we haven't said, although you did say it in your email to us, is like, you have a son, the son you were meant to have, that had you followed one person's advice, wouldn't
We
be in this
wouldn't have.
world. Like,
Yeah.
what made you have the strength to listen to yourself?
Get the second opinion. Advocate for yourselves. You know, all the
We're-
things.
We're very pro-choice,
Yeah.
but we just like we wanted this baby.
We
If
were,
there was hope, we wanted this baby.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It just felt like we didn't have any options we wanted the choice to be ours and not somebody telling us this is our only choice. It just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
This is a journey. And to your title, the $500,000 baby, are you all like, is this all insurance cover this? Or are we doing?
Minus our fertility treatments and like getting pregnant, that was all on us. But insurance has covered pretty much everything, all his doctor bills. But
Oh, thank God.
Except we had to reach our out-of-pocket max, which was not a small amount at all.
Yeah. But thank God you had insurance.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you guys, I just thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, it's sometimes it goes easy and sometimes it just does not. And I feel like everybody needs to hear all the stories.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not blindsided. You know what can happen, but then also it might not happen, but we need to hear all of it.
And to hear the depths we go to for our children, and
Yeah.
just to show the
Absolutely.
world that we are
Thoughtful
extremely
intentional.
thoughtful, extremely intentional. Keep giving me words, Robin.
and loving,
and
loving.
extremely loving parents to these children that we create with a lot of thought, a lot of intention. Give me one more. And
A lot of love, Jamie.
and a lot of love and tenacity. But seriously, right? That's
Yeah.
why your story is so important. Thank you.
Yeah. It helps every time I think to talk.
yeah, it gets
About it in
easier
general.
to talk
Yeah.
about it.
Oh my God. They just,
Wow.
they seem so calm. New moms with a preemie, and they're just like, no prob.
And also, just to reiterate once again how important getting that second opinion was, and how
Right?
advocating for yourself is such an important aspect that I am so bad at. So I appreciate the reminder yet again.
Well, I feel like the fact that Kim was a nurse, an ER nurse, probably like having that medical training probably helped her like
Yeah.
listen to herself. But regardless, you know, second opinion goes a long way.
Advocate for yourself, guys.
Oh, love those two ladies. Love them.
God. Okay.
Love
all right.
them. And you know, Kim is an avid fan of our live stream. And
I
she
know.
comes in all the time. And I love it.
I love it when everybody comes in. So don't forget, guys, our live stream is every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. And this coming Thursday, we will be speaking with a doctor from California Cryobank.
I'm so excited.
I can't wait. They're going to spill the tea. We're going to get the tea.
Spill the tea about what it's like to work at a bank. I mean, we all need them.
A
I just can't wait to
cryobank,
hear what
not
the
a
doctor
bank,
says.
Not a money bank.
Yeah, no, we don't care about that. Okay.
So we will be speaking with a doctor. So come join us. Bring your questions.
Yes.
Bring your comments.
11.
Bring your love and lots of hearts. I want to see hearts. I want to see hearts flying. That's what I want
We
to see.
never see hearts.
I know, we never do. It's so sad.
And when you're done going to our live stream, you go out and get our book, If These Ovaries Could Talk, the things we've learned about making an LGBTQ family.
Mhm,
It's available at all major retailers. And if you want to buy locally, check IndieBound. You can get the audiobook if you want us to read to you.
Mhm.
That's available at Amazon and iTunes. And if you get it, don't be afraid to review on Amazon or Goodreads. How was that?
that
Oh,
was
weird.
beautifully done. I mean, you might have a career in voiceover. We should just record that and drop that into every episode.
All right. Well, check us out on the social.
We are everywhere you didn't want us and more. We are Ovaries Talk on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and recently TikTok. So if you already follow us on Instagram or the others, go ahead and go over to TikTok and start following us there too, because sometimes
Yes,
it's
please.
different what we put up there. You never know. You never know.
It might be.
It might be.
It might not be.
We are also
Anyway.
If These Ovaries Could Talk on YouTube, and you're going to support our podcast and join our community if you want to on Patreon at patreon.com/ovariestalk. That's where you get the bonus content.
That's right. And thank you to our sponsor, BetterHelp and First Republic Bank.
Thanks so much.
And a huge thank you to all you folks who are already helping us make the show on Patreon. We really appreciate it. And we thank you.
Thank you. Couldn't do it without you.
Another one, Jamie. Another one in the
I was
books.
say another one bites the dust.
It was in my head, but I was saying in the books, and it came out like bites the dust.
Well,
All right.
it's another
Thanks.
wonderful episode, and we have another wonderful one next week just for you. So tune in.
Ovaries.
Ow.
If these ovaries could talk, they would say,
Eggs, ovaries out.